G'day Hammerheads, welcome to the Woody, and today we're going to be taking a look at this thing. It's the Raed Zaed. It's the Raed Zaed. It's the Raed Zaed. Look, I don't know how the hell you say it, but it's pretty cool, so let's take a look. So I've also got the Edelrid Ohm 1 here, so we saw that recently, and boy, I really love this kind of thing. It's designed to facilitate climbing when you've got a big climber and a small belayer. So you hang that on the first bolt, it grabs the rope when the climber falls, and adds a nice bit of resistance there, so your climber doesn't fall so far and your belayer doesn't get yanked up. So if we take a look at these two devices side by side, the Edelrid one, this is almost 10 years old now, this design. It's pretty heavy. No moving parts aside from the side and that little latch there. It basically drags the rope through that slot there, and that adds a lot of friction. And this is basically a whole device that is like the high friction end of your ATC style device. Whereas the Zaed is quite different. It doesn't actually open up, although it does have some kind of slots inside there, as you can see. And it's actually got 3 friction modes. So you move this pin. As you can see, it isn't super easy to use with one hand. So it has this pin with a little ball lock on there. And depending on which hole you stick it in, you get more resistance or less resistance. So the little weight symbol there, that's your low resistance end, that's your medium, and then that's your high. And that little symbol on there is actually like for top roping. I don't know why they did that rather than 3 weights, but anyway, that's what that's all about. And to install the rope, you remove the pin, insert the rope in there, and then put the pin in whichever slot you want. When you're running the rope, that rotates. Kind of looks pretty cool as it spins around. And I did see some older versions that didn't have this little elastic, so I guess that's a little improvement they've already made. Now, I don't really know anything about Raed, the company that made this, other than they are in Austria and they make slacklining stuff. But I think you can really see that in the design of this thing. To me, that resembles a web lock or like a webbing ratchet kind of thing. Also, this is going to be a lot easier to make. It's plate steel, it's a couple of bolts, some bushings in there, a lot more easier to manufacture than whatever the hell that is. So for a small company, I think they've done a really good job with just the design and finish of this thing. Plus it came in this neat little Hessian sack. So in terms of usage, we've already seen one difference between these two devices. The Ohm is pretty easy to clip with one hand. Whereas the Zaed, not really. You can, but I mean, really, you want to practice, or you want to make sure it's already set up before you can. I have done it, it's just, you know, it's a bit fiddly. And that leads me to the other big difference between these devices. The Ohm works as a resistor just by itself. If you only get the first bolt clipped and you fall on that, it is resisting. Whereas the Zaed does not. It needs to have the second bolt clipped. If you fall on the first bolt and that's all you've got, it is not resisting for you. Because this little pin rotates when the rope goes through it, it's actually working like a little pulley. In fact, compared to just a quick draw, that actually has less friction than a normal quick draw. So needless to say, that's really going to affect your tactics when you're using this thing and trying to install it on a wall. So you do need the second bolt clipped for this thing to actually start resisting. So like with the Ohm, your belayer is meant to stand out away from the wall, so it sort of primes it ready to grab. And then when you fall, it levers up, and this is the highest friction setting in this case. So it levers up, and then you end up with that same rocking rope break kind of thing that the Ohm does, with the advantage of the rotating pin. So this is on the middle setting now. You can feel there's a lot less friction on there. And now on the light setting, yeah. So with this particular setup, because there isn't an actual belayer holding this in the right direction, it doesn't have enough friction to actually stay engaged to the rope. and I'm holding the brake strand about 1 meter out. If we just do the same sort of thing with the ohm, obviously the ohm has only got the one friction setting, but bring the belay rope back out. And that I can feel has a lot more friction. And doing field testing with these two devices, you can really feel the difference in friction. The ohm will grab sooner and it'll grab harder than the Zaed, even on the highest level. And if we take a look at some test falls, you can see that the ohm is actually grabbing a lot harder. So that's one of the issues people often cite with the ohm, is that it does grab hard and it causes pretty hard catches. The Zaed will give you a much softer catch and smoother resistance throughout the whole thing, whereas the ohm will grab a bit more suddenly, give you a bit of a harder catch, but it'll ultimately give you higher friction. So if there's a really big weight difference between you, the ohm is probably going to be better for you. The other thing with the Zaed is it's going to be great for top roping. So if you have already, first climber's gone up, they've lowered down, then you just leave that on the first bolt and top rope. The other thing the Zaed is supposed to be better for is rope drag. So if you're climbing, you're pulling up a bunch of slack really fast, the ohm, so people say, will tend to grab. So that's with the rope just going straight up. If I move the rope back out a little bit, here you go. So you've got to pull quite a lot of rope through, depending on the situation. If the wall's really steep and the angles of the rope going in and out of the device are different, yeah, maybe. But personally, I've never had a problem with rope drag using this thing. I don't think that's so much an issue with the device. I think it's more about how you actually climb and pay out slack that's causing that. Okay, so let's just pull up through the Zaed. Fine. If I move that about halfway out, see, that seems like basically the same as the ohm. So where does that all leave us? Well, I think the Zaed is a really cool device. I love the idea of it. I love the innovation behind it. I really love just resistors in general. The ohm, I got that like 7-8 years ago, and it really improved my situation because I'm a pretty big guy. I climb with a fairly small lady, and it basically meant that we could just basically grab it and go climbing as usual. We don't need to arrange other belay partners to join us. We don't need to stick to specific climbs that I know I can handle in certain places, or that might have a tree nearby that we can, attach the belayer to. Basically just grab this and go. Good for top roping, good for leading, good for all sorts of stuff. Now the Zaed is more specialized than that. The fact that it doesn't give resistance straight away from the first bolt, and the fact that you can't really install it with one hand, are the two main, well, I'm not going to say weaknesses, they're just differences. So basically how I see the Zaed being used is if you're going to be working on a project, you're set up on that one line, you're camping on there all day, you're hang dogging, you're falling a lot, that's going to be fine for you. In fact, probably better than the ohm, because it's going to be giving you softer catches. And if you're just going to be lobbing off the crux of your project 15 times a day, you're really going to appreciate the softer catch that this thing gives you. The other situation this will excel in is if you're just in a big group, you're camping out on a few routes, and then you're already attached at the top, you can already safely climb, maybe reach over, clip it on another line to give resistance if you've got a bigger climber going up. So that kind of thing. And because this has the different levels of resistance, it means you can make it more like in a gym. You've maybe got a new belayer. This thing can actually help them get a feel for belaying without taking the full weight of the climber. Things like that. I can see it being really useful in sort of group and teaching situations. But that's not how I climb. Usually me and Mrs. Mullet, we go climb a route, clean it, climb a route, clean it, climb a route, clean it. So the ohm is a lot better for that, because I basically just use it like a normal quick draw. The other thing that means the Zaed isn't really great for me is in Australia, we don't tend to have a lot of bolts. So you can see the first bolt of this route is here. The second bolt is up there. So you're looking at about 7 meters up before you can actually clip the second one. Route next to it, first bolt is there, second bolt is up there. So again, you're halfway up the route. The second bolt is often 6 7 meters up. Stick clipping the second bolt, not really going to be an option for me in this part of Australia at least. So all that basically means that this guy, it's really good for some applications. The ohm is better for some applications. For me, the ohm is the one I'm going to be going for. The Zaed is going to be more specialized. Basically, those two sort of scenarios that I described, they're the ones that I can see. But I'm really keen to hear more opinions and experiences from you guys. This guy is pretty new to the market. I got it a few months ago, used it a bit, but I haven't explored every single scenario it's going to be good in. And I'm still going to be carrying the Zaed with me and using it a lot more in future because I really love this technology. I think Raed's done a great job of it. And I really hope they do continue down this path because these resistors are, and you know, I'm not really exaggerating, life-changing for certain people in certain situations like me. So there you go, Frothers. Hopefully that's been helpful for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. Hell, I've even got a promo code for the How Not To store. So if you're looking to buy either of these guys or whatever other gear they've got, you get a discount, you help us out as well. You also help out Ryan and the guys up north. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, and scratch yous later.